And then I went on to write more books, and I've been doing this, and it was about 7 years ago when I was in Michigan. I was teaching in Michigan, and I'm in a different state just about every week. I've been to every state in the United States except 2, sad and unhappy, and I don't plan on going there anytime soon. And some of you will get that, most of you won't, but sad and unhappy. Those states I will not visit. Okay. Then I was in Michigan teaching this, and there was a fellow in the audience, and I'll never forget, now that fellow's one of my best friends, but at the time, I had no idea who he was, but after my lecture, he said, "Your book is the second best health book I've ever read." And I said to him, "Well, what's the first?" And he said, "I'm going to tell you, but before I tell you, you have to promise me 2 things. And I said, "Sure." He said, "The first thing is, before you develop an opinion about it, I'll give it to you, but before you develop an opinion about it, you have to read the whole book." I said, "Well, if it's such a great health book, why wouldn't I read the whole book?" And then the next thing he said was, "If you like it, you tell other people about it, but if you don't, you give it back to me." I said, "If it's as good as you say it is, of course I'll tell other people about it. And if you don't, if it's not good, I'll give it back to you and I won't tell anyone." Well, I read the book, and I found out it was the greatest health book ever written. It's the Bible. There's more information about health found in the Bible than any other book ever written. As a matter of fact, all these health books written today all come from what we have found in there. From the diet of fruits and vegetables, to getting enough rest, to getting exercise, and to paying attention to the emotional and spiritual aspects of health, also to go with the physical. I wish I would have listened to that 10 years prior, because when I was, or 15 years prior, because when I was sitting in a doctor's office and somebody tried to give me one, I said, "I'm not into that." And I wasted a lot of years of pain and suffering because I was so against something I didn't know anything about. Well, there's so much information in that. I went on to write this book, which is called Health According to the Scriptures. And in this book it talks about all the health aspects of the Bible. And I have a CD here also that talks about that as well. Unfortunately, in my excitement to come here, I left a box of these books where I was staying, and I didn't bring them tonight. But I will be speaking Thursday night in Manhattan if you want to pick those up. And all that information is on my website, which, by the way, did everyone get one of these? Okay, if we could pass these around, if you didn't get one, just pass them back. That is all my contact information. So then I had all this information out, and I got all this information to people and so on, and what happened was people were getting it, but they weren't doing it. And I said, it's not good enough. I want people to eat this way. I want people to get healed from disease and so on. And there's only so much you can teach a person, and if they don't do it, what are you going to do? So I found out that there was a lot of confusion about health and nutrition and so on. So I started praying. I learned when I read the Bible that the best medicine we have is prayer, which is better than just about anything else. And one of the things I was praying about is how I can get this information out to people where they'll understand it as simple as possible. And as I did that, what I found out is this name kept coming up to me in my mind. This name kept coming up. And it was from a book that I had read years prior. And that name was Arnold Ehret. Has anyone here ever heard of Arnold Ehret? Well, what happened was, Arnold Ehret wrote several books, and I have them here. One of them is called The Mucusless Diet Healing System, probably one of the best names for a book ever written. The other one's called Rational Fasting. And then there was another book here called The Cause and Cure of All Human Illness. All of these books by Dr. Arnold Ehret. And Arnold Ehret was a fellow that was from Germany, and he came here in the 1900s, in the beginning of 1900s, and he helped people with the natural diet and getting better and stuff. But all his books have something in it called the Formula for Life. And I found out that that Formula for Life is found in the Bible. It's taught by people that I've interviewed who've been doing this for a very long time. Brian Clement at Harvey's Health Institute, Fred Bishy, and it all agreed with each other. Now, it wasn't the Bible catching up to science. It was science catching up to what our Creator told us thousands of years ago, what was the best medicine for us and the best food and the best way to maintain our health. So what happened was, I said, okay, then here it is, the Formula for Life. Most people haven't heard of it. So I have to teach about this. So that's where we came up with the topic of this book and this discussion tonight. I called the Formula for Health. And I could tell you, if you follow the principles to the Formula for Health that we're going to give tonight, you will have no confusion about what true health is, how to obtain it and maintain it. simply and easily. We're going to focus from a diet standpoint, but what we have to understand is, to my surprise and probably yours too, most people today aren't interested in diet and nutrition when it comes to health. That's not the people getting interested in health for. I've interviewed many people all over the world. I've been all over the world many times, and I found out there are 3 motivating factors people get involved in health, and diet and nutrition is not one of them. The most motivating factor people get involved in health is, if somebody is sick, how do they get better? If somebody has a disease, how do they get well again? That's the number 1 motivating factor people get involved in health. The second motivating factor is, if somebody isn't sick, how do they avoid getting sick? That's the second motivating factor. And the third is, how does somebody stay looking young? These are the 3 motivating factors people get involved in nutrition and health and so on. Now, if somebody could be convinced that their diet can help them accomplish those goals, it's then that they start to pay attention to diet and nutrition. But the majority of people today are deceived to believe that they can accomplish these goals without looking at their diet, without paying attention to nutrition. How do I know that? Because when I still go to these fast food places, only to use the bathroom, I see a lot of people in there. And it's not only people that want to eat healthy and learn about health. Everyone wants to accomplish these goals. And if these people are still eating that food, it means they're being deceived to believe they can do that and accomplish these goals, which you cannot. We know in this room that diet and nutrition has everything to do with accomplishing these goals. And we're going to talk about the best diet to eat and how to eat it and so on. That goes along with the principles to the formula for health. But before we do that, since disease is what everyone's interested in, and since disease is the opposite of health, if we learn what disease is, if we learn how to overcome it, and we learn how to avoid it, we will have no choice but to be left in a state of health. True and true. I'm glad you agree with me. We will have no choice left but to be in a state of health. So we're going to look at disease, and then we're going to look at the formula for health. And then, thank you very much. And then we're finally going to look at some steps to close this up and make this happen. The first one is, what is disease? What is disease? Why do we get it? How do we avoid it? And how do we overcome it if we have it? And the answer is, disease is just another word for discomfort. Disease is just another word for discomfort. Now, there's only one disease in today's world. One disease with many different stages. One disease with many different stages. But the problem is, if you ignore the beginning stages, it's going to keep coming back worse and worse and worse. And the issue is, most people are ignoring the minor stages, and they don't do anything about it until it comes back later, in a more serious stage. So the key is to take care of it in its minor stage. The problem is, we cannot identify when we're in that minor stage, because when the body is toxic, it cannot give a true reaction to what's happening. For example, when I was a kid growing up, I could eat a gallon of ice cream and not feel sick. But I was creating a lot of damage in my body, but I lost that signal, that alarm to tell me something was wrong. My body was not giving me an accurate, true response. When you're clean, almost immediately, your body will tell you when you just did something wrong. You ate something that doesn't belong in it. But when you're toxic, you cannot do that. Now, when I ask people, how do they know they're sick? The most common answer I get is, I feel. If you're waiting to how you feel to determine if you're sick or not, chances are you'll be in a later stage of disease before you even know anything's wrong. Because we're not feeling the beginning stages of disease, because people are too toxic to begin with. There's one disease with many different stages, and we must learn to identify, other than by feeling, how we know we have disease to begin with, so we can start taking care of the problem before it becomes such an issue where we feel it so bad that we have to do a lot more work than we should have to if we would have started earlier. So what we need to realize is there's one disease with many different stages, the first stage and the last stage. Now the last stage is the more serious common diseases like cancer. Now even if you have cancer or one of these other final stages of disease like a stroke or something else, as long as your body has a spark of energy left inside to reverse its disease, if you start doing the things that our Creator wanted us to do when it came to diet, nutrition, health, and living a righteous life, your body can reverse from that illness. However, there's no medical test, there's no doctor out there that can accurately tell you when your body truly has no energy left in it.